Hi, and welcome to this edition of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have on the line Cathy Sikorski. Cathy's an elder law attorney, and I actually read her book about, setting up a financial power of attorney. So we wanted to talk a little bit more about that today. Thanks, Cathy, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark. I'm really happy to be here.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about your background, how you became an elder law attorney, and what your practice looks like today.
I've been an elder lawyer for over 30 years. My practice literally got honed down to elder law because I've been a caregiver for 8 different family and members and friends over those 30 years.
Wow.
And these issues are almost always attached really dramatically to caregiving. So that's why I ended up specializing in elder law. And so that's how I became an elder lawyer. And what I do is I deal with Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, powers of attorney, living wills. Those are the kinds of things that we deal with on a regular basis to help people prepare for long-term planning issues.
Right, and we talk to financial planners, we talk to long-term care insurance agents and life insurance agents, and these issues affect all of those individuals.
They really do, like, dramatically affect all these issues. And we are all on the same team. That's what I tell everybody. We're on the same team. We're not in competition. We're all trying to do what's best for our clients together.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about financial powers of attorney and why they're so important.
So financial powers of attorney, the 30-second definition is it's a document that you create where you give power to your agent, that's what they're called after you create a power of attorney, to act as if they are you in every financial capacity. So paying bills, your checking account, your investments, selling a house, selling a car, buying a car, that person can literally act as if they are you. You're putting them into your financial shoes. So it's a really powerful document. And the reason you need it is in case you get sick and you're incapable of taking care of your affairs. That's why you need it. And the problem is, of course, Mark, none of us know when we're going to get sick and be incapable of taking care of our affairs.
Right.
There's no crystal ball.
So when do you think someone should set up a financial power of attorney ideally?
Well, people really hate this answer, but my kids went to college. I made them sign a financial and medical power of attorney because they were 18. They're considered adults, right? Even though I'm paying the bill, they're still the adults. And so once you are an adult, the fact that you need someone to step in if something happens to you, people have accidents all the time. People, are in car crashes, they have strokes, whatever, you never know. So, I mean, legitimately, 18 would be great, but definitely if you are a grown person, you're married, you have investments, you have assets, you should have a financial and healthcare power of attorney, both of them, yes.
Right, so as soon as possible, and it sounds like it's never too late to begin this conversation.
Never too late, it's perfect. I'm so glad you said that, yes. Absolutely true.
So let's talk a little bit about a case study. So I know you work with clients in this issue. Why don't you tell us about some clients that you worked with? What were their needs?
Yeah, so this is not atypical. We had a son who was in his 50s coming with his parents who were in their 70s and early 80s. The son's name was Jerry, and we're going to call the parents Fred and Wilma, so we can sort of attach ourselves to those names. Fred was in his 80s and already had dementia. He was really long past the place where he could make legal decisions. Wilma, his wife, was in her 70s and had health issues, but was not in any way mentally incapacitated. And Jerry was their only son. So they were trying to do a little bit of planning to move some of their assets over to Jerry to protect their legacy, and also even to make sure that if Fred went into a nursing home, Wilma would have enough to take care of herself. And they had some documents, Mark, but unfortunately, as I said to you earlier, in the world of the law, these documents were over 10 years old. They were already too old because they didn't provide them with some of the things that they needed in terms of legal language where the law has changed in the last less than 5 years.
Okay, so what type of solution were you able to come in and provide to them?
So because Fred could not sign any more legal documents, he was incompetent. We could get Wilma to sign some new documents. She could transfer some of her belongings or her, her investments or her real estate to her son. We were aware of that 5-year look back period that everybody's heard about. If Wilma would go into a nursing home, Jerry would have to be on notice that that money might have to come back to help pay for her care. But there were plenty of assets there that we didn't worry about that too much. Unfortunately, we could not do new documents for Fred. We could not do that at all. And so we just sort of had to take a wait and see because Fred had assets like a 401k, an IRA that were only in his name because they can only be in one person's name. And
Mhm.
his documents didn't allow anyone to go in and transfer any of those funds.
Okay, and you're saying because he was mentally incapacitated, he wasn't able to change that directive, so to speak.
That is correct. The only thing that would have been allowed would be a guardianship, but we didn't really need that because we already had a limited financial power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney to take care of his needs. And a guardianship would not have helped us anyway because guardianship doesn't give you the authority to take somebody's money and give it to somebody else. It just gives you the power to take care of that person with their own funds.
Right. People always ask me, is it ever too late to begin long-term care planning? And I say it's never too late. You can work with a Medicaid planning attorney, for example. But if you don't get those documents in order, it sounds like you may be limited or handcuffed as to what you can do.
And that's the piece that I always like to say is that I just want you to get your legal documents so you can work with your insurance professional. You can work with your financial advisor to do what they need to do when you come into a crisis because you're already prepared legally. Like
Mhm.
that's a piece that you can do today, just preparing for what if. And then you give your financial person the ability to help you do what you need to do from a Medicaid planning perspective.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure we're going to have you on future episodes. We'll talk more about Medicaid planning. Thanks so much for joining us today, Cathy.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.